Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It's 6:40 and it's time for the nation's business. I'm Chevon Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Well, the opposition People's National Party is calling for the immediate resignation of Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, following what it describes as reckless and egregious statements regarding the Integrity Commission. Minister Chuck made the comments during the Integrity Commission's Oversight Committee on Tuesday.
Why is the Integrity Commission asking members to indicate the salaries of their spouse or sometimes of their children? I don't know if this is something that is appropriate, Chairman, because I have advised the relevant member, let them know your spouse is not prepared to divulge their salary to her or him, and therefore he or she cannot report it. And these are things, Chairman, when we get back to the legislation, we have to make it very clear what limits can be put in terms of investigation. We need to find out just how far the Integrity Commission goes in terms of investigating, and the focus, there's no doubt, is on parliamentarians.
That's Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice. However, in a strong rebuke, the opposition spokesperson on justice, that's Senator Donna Scott-Mottley, condemned Minister Chuck's remarks. The PNP has urged Prime Minister Andrew Holness to act decisively by demanding Minister Chuck's resignation. The party says any failure to act will be seen as a tacit endorsement of this lawless behaviour and an admission that the administration prioritises political survival over the rule of law.
And Senator Scott-Mottley described the comments as an open assault on Jamaica's legal and ethical foundations. She says this incident is the latest in a series of controversial remarks by Minister Chuck, raising concerns about his commitment to the rule of law. Senator Scott-Mottley joins us now. Good evening, Senator Scott-Mottley.
Good evening, Sanjay. Good evening, Chevon, and good evening to your listeners.
And thank you, as always, for joining us. Delroy Chuck questioned why the salary of spouse or children should be disclosed to the Integrity Commission. And he says it is their personal business, which they should not be compelled to share. You have referred this as an open assault on Jamaica's legal and ethical foundation. Why do you deem it as an open assault?
I think the minister has been aware that this is a legislation which has been in place for several decades under a different piece of legislation. It was his administration in 2017 that passed this Integrity Commission Act. Mm-hmm. And I am shocked to hear that it seems as though he's just discovering that this requirement is placed squarely in the law at Section 40. It makes me wonder if he has, in fact, been complying with his own declaration.
I hear you, Senator Scott-Mottley, but in the interest of things, isn't it imprudent to call for his resignation? He's essentially putting forward a suggestion that he feels the law might need adjustment in here because he finds the provision invasive.
Prior to that, he had referenced advice which he was giving. And that advice was basically not to comply with this request.
But he asked a question initially, though, Senator Scott-Mottley, and proceeded to indicate that he's not, in essence, he's not sure if the law provides for the Integrity Commission to ask for spouses and children to submit their information about salaries.
Sanjay, that is my very complaint. Because the law clearly does ask you to do so. You have to declare your spouse's salary, your child, if the child is under 18 and lives in your own household. Now, there are several ways, I imagine, that you can respond to it. But for Minister Chuck, the Minister of Justice, to advise someone in that dismissive manner, just simply say that your spouse does not wish to comply, is quite inappropriate. Because when parliamentarians make the law, the first thing they must understand is that the law applies equally to everyone. It is not just parliamentarians who are asked to do this. Public servants are asked to do this as well. And the first time that we are hearing this public complaint about a requirement which has been in the law for decades is when it comes in the Parliament at the Oversight Committee by Minister Chuck.
But could it be, though, and I'm putting the same question back to you, because he asked a question, and when he asked the question, he says he has been advising individuals not to declare the information of their spouse and children. I would assume, based on what he's saying, asking the question, it was based on his interpretation of the law. Subsequent to that, we've seen the Integrity Commission publishing a release and pointing to the specific section which speaks to the need for it to be done. So could it be a misinterpretation by the minister, and maybe the minister should clarify that he misunderstood and he misspoke on the matter?
Well, let me put it this way in response to you. If it is that he was misunderstood, there are many people in this country who are misunderstanding him. And he, as a parliamentarian, as a King's Counsel, should understand that words matter. And on this particular issue, it is very important that the Minister of Justice clearly demonstrates that people must uphold the law. Listen, Minister Chuck has a history with the Integrity Commission. He has, on occasion, for example, challenged the Integrity Commission. He has said, that the Commission has demonstrated a certain bias, a certain unfairness, and it demonstrates that this Integrity Commission has no integrity. That's the Minister of Justice speaking, and a member of the Oversight Committee. He has called on the Integrity Commission to certify the Prime Minister's statutory declaration in circumstances where anybody with a fleeting acquaintance with the law would know that his call would be inappropriate. He has called on the Integrity Commission to hurry up with what they're doing because he himself feels under pressure from his constituents. So it's not an isolated kind of action on his part.
What is so wrong about that call, Senator Scott-Mottley? Because it was quite a while now the Integrity Commission spoke about this investigation of first illicit 6, now illicit 8. And individuals have been looking around the Parliament wondering who are those individuals. And he indicated that the Integrity Commission needs to wrap up the investigation so that individuals can know who those 8 individuals are. What's so wrong about that statement?
One of the things that parliamentarians can do, if they are so concerned about the delays in investigation, is to lift the gag. That is to say that when the Integrity Commission decides to embark on an investigation, they can say who it is that they are investigating. Now, the parliamentarians took a considered decision based on past practices that this should not be done. So you can't have it both ways.
But Senator Scott-Mottley, we have to point out that that's not limited to one side of the aisle. That was a collective decision by the parliamentarians, and they seem to be standing by that collective decision that it should not be lifted.
No, that is a very unfair point, and the reason why it is unfair is that there's presently a review of the Integrity Commission Act.
Yes, Senator.
That review, no, I'm not finished, Chevon.
Go ahead.
That review has not been completed. No report has been presented to the Parliament. That particular issue that you make reference to, there has been no conclusion around it. There have been discussions around it.
And as part of those discussions, Senator, and I have heard many of your fellow members, both in the Senate and the Parliament, on both sides, say quite clearly that they don't agree with the removal of that gag order.
And there are others who say that they agree with the removal.
Very few. You being one, I know that you and Peter Bunting being the two of very few exceptions who seem to support the removal of that gag order.
Yes, but there's a discussion. The discussion is ongoing. I would agree with any comment you make when the review is completed.
Very well.
But for now, all these incidents and things that are happening will, of course, inform the recommendations made by the parliamentarians who are on the Joint Select Committee.
Very well. But on this instant matter, Senator, the law as it stands, if, for example, as I think Mr. Chuck was trying to suggest, that my spouse or the spouse of a parliamentarian rather decides that they are not sharing that information with their spouse who is the parliamentarian, does that then still legally bind the parliamentarian to provide that information that he has no ability to get?
I cannot say how it will be interpreted. I do not know how the Integrity Commission will view the that response to an inquiry.
But I think that is what Mr. Chuck was suggesting. That
no, because I can tell you that the Integrity Commission has a vast powers to investigate and might be able to say from joint accounts or accounts which are not disclosed that the parliamentarian who has made the statutory declaration has not been forthright. Now, Chevon, Sanjay, let me tell you, one of the worst things is to have to complete that statutory declaration. It is intrusive.
I think that's all you all agree with.
Invasive. Sometimes you feel so violated. Because I, as an opposition senator, I don't think that I have the opportunity to influence anything, no contracts, no awards, that there's no way that I would have an opportunity to enrich myself by illicit means. But I still have to comply. I still have to do what is asked of me. It's tedious and it feels wrong. Furthermore, you feel that you have. This is not a discussion that we have with our families, that, all accounts and so on will have to be. This is not a discussion you have with your partner. And so when you are written to and asked about accounts, which sometimes you have forgotten, you really feel persecuted. But the fact of the matter is we have a duty to uphold the law because we are the ones who made it law.
So are you in agreement then, Senator Scott-Mottley, based on you saying that it is wrong, that maybe it's time to make some adjustments to the Integrity Commission Act, which requires parliamentarians and other public officials to submit all those evasive information all those information to the Integrity Commission, which may not necessarily be needed because, as you indicated, as an opposition senator, you don't really have any significant impact on where government contracts are issued, etc. So should there be changes?
Well, I have to look at it not as an individual, because when you're doing the nation's business, you can't look at how it impacts you personally. I look at what were the objectives. And the objectives, as I understand them, in 2017 when it was passed, was to try and have more transparency, more accountability, and to stamp out or reduce corruption as far as possible. So I turn to the other scenario. You get a kickback on a contract. You put it in your husband's name, your wife's name. I have to say husband since there are some females. You put it in your wife's name. You put it in your child's name. I think that when the law was being crafted, it was based on some experience. And so even though we are uncomfortable, even though we don't want to do it, we still have to look at what it was intended to do.
So, Senator, tell me...
Just before you come in, Chevon, I just want to go back to a point that Chevon made earlier, Senator Scott-Mottley. Yes. Because if I request from my child to submit their income to me so I can submit to the Integrity Commission, and my child decides that I am not submitting that information to you, I think it's my personal information. Can the Integrity Commission really demand that of the parliamentarian if the child decides that they're not submitting that information to their parent?
Well, let's look at the provision in relation to children first. The provision in relation to children is for a child under the age of 18 and who is living in the household. So I think it's a stretch to say that any child who's living under your roof and who is under 18 can just say, no, I'm not providing you with that information. And I think that the Integrity Commission would be entitled to carry out an investigation of that situation. Because it would be extremely strange. You would almost say, but there must be a reason. This is a lead.
Which is why I use the example of a spouse, because a spouse who has no actual impact on the parliamentary proceedings and is not a parliamentarian, who might just simply have their own life that they wish to live outside of the scrutiny that is put on their spouse, who is the actual MP, may want to keep that information to themselves. And I ask, under those circumstances specifically, do you feel it would be warranted then for the husband or the wife to then ask said spouse, and then said spouse says, no, I'm not giving you that information? Do you then put that poor spousal MP in a quandary where they have to then go to the Integrity Commission and say, well, the wife doesn't, well, they don't want to give me the info. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to call the police to extract the information from them?
Chevon, I understand the scenario that you're outlining, and I don't find it an unfamiliar sort of situation, because people have complained to me in the same way they have complained to Minister Chuck. And I have said, listen, as uncomfortable as it might be for you, you have to do it now while you're in the Parliament, and for 1 year thereafter. Try and work it through. Convince your spouse that there's no reason to hide a small matter such as this, and see if you can get cooperation. Because in a relationship, in a marriage, you're going to find all of these kinds of things where, let me share with you. When the PNP became the government, there was a parliamentarian who made a statutory declaration and did not declare a wife's account. That is simply because he had no knowledge that the wife had a separate account. And it created quite a problem in their relationship. And I remember having to sit with them and assist them in working through that and explaining to the parliamentarian that sometimes a woman will put aside a little money. You know, like in those days, they were saying that you should have like your vex money, or you should have some money separate that your husband doesn't know about, and actually mediate the situation. Because even then, I think it was, I forget, the anti-corruption agency was carrying out those kinds of investigations. And it is for this reason that I'm completely astounded that the minister would take that public sort of stance.
But Senator Scott-Mottley, I think based on what you've said here, you agree that to some extent this matter of some of the requests made by the Integrity Commission are a bit intrusive and a bit invasive. You seem far more willing than many others to essentially subject yourself to that. But do you actually then agree, maybe Minister Chuck was expressing a level of frustration in that moment. Do you agree there at least is a conversation to be had about what powers the Integrity Commission have in terms of their probity?
And that is a conversation which the minister should have, but not in the manner that he did, where it appears as though he's encouraging people to break the law. It's quite simple. Minister Chuck has on occasion, he doesn't speak from a script. He speaks his mind. But, Chevon, when you're in certain positions, your mind does not relate to you alone. Your mind suggests a government position. You can't separate yourself. And when he wears that very important hat, it comes with a duty and a responsibility. It's not the first time that he has gone too far in public pronouncements. He did that, for example, when Royal Reid was arrested. And he apologized. So he has recognized in the past where he has done a misstep. I think this is a very serious one. I don't think he should have said it, that he gave that advice.
Understood. Could you stay with us for a brief few more minutes, Senator? We're on a break.
Okay.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is...
It's 7 o'clock. Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We're talking to Opposition Spokesperson Justice Senator Donna Scott-Mottley regarding statements made by her government counterpart Delroy Chuck regarding the Integrity Commission's what I think both agree with, a level of invasiveness and intrusiveness in terms of requesting information regarding spouses and family members. But Senator Scott-Mottley, you agree with the matter of whether maybe this should be discussed, at least in the the review body for the Integrity Commission Act, as to what information should the Integrity Commission be lawfully allowed to request. But then let me ask you specifically, based on your understanding of the law, where should that line be set?
Well, firstly, I want to go back to what you said, what should be lawfully requested, because this is a lawful request. It is in the legislation. The Integrity Commission didn't just reach into the atmosphere and pluck this out. So I assume that the parliamentarians would have considered all the different aspects to it when they were passing the law, and that they considered how intrusive it would be, but determined that there was a greater good, and that was accountability and transparency and the prevention of corruption. So we have to put that in context. Now, 2017, that's what, how many years ago? So we are now saying that we don't like it. You see, Chevon, let me tell you part of the challenge that I have. People don't trust parliamentarians, for the most part. And when we come out like this and we attack the Integrity Commission, it gives people the impression that it's because we are culpable and we have something to hide. We have to take measured steps and a calm and, an analytical approach to anything that we do. Remember, there are 28 public officials under investigation right now.
Yes.
We speak only about the 8 parliamentarians, but there are 28 public officials under investigation. And there are decisions that we have to make as citizens, and that is the standard to which we are going to hold those who have authority and have sway over us. So what I'm saying is we have to have a balance in everything we do. And yes, I would like to have the discussion.
I know Sanjay wants to ask you a question, but I still have one final one. It's on the basis, and I'm going to use a very specific example because I think this is one of the most, what I consider egregious. And this is in relation to the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Forgetting the matters that are currently before the courts, we can't really weigh in on those. But the matter regarding the bank accounts of his parents and the request by the Integrity Commission considering him responsible for those bank accounts, even though he didn't even know they existed. Would you consider that a reasonable request to be made of the Prime Minister, of any parliamentarian rather, that they give account of their parents' personal banking information that they may have their name on despite their knowledge?
Well, I have been asked to give account of bank accounts, which I've had for decades with clients and family friends. Just people, one person in particular said, Donna, this money belongs to my child. I cannot put his name on it for certain reasons, but I know if I die, you will give them every cent. I don't remember about that account, Chevon. I've never withdrawn, never deposited. When the Integrity Commission wrote to me to ask me about it, I was really taken aback because I genuinely did not remember it. But what am I to do? I write to them. I explain to them. Luckily, by then it had literally no money. And when I complained, as we all do, I was told, well, once the account exists, you have to declare it because there is a possibility that it can be used. No matter how long ago it was opened, you have to declare its existence. But I also know, I'm just going to finish in 1 second. I also know that one of the things is that they say that the account can be used during the year. You can give a declaration as to what happens in December 31st, but they have the authority to check and see the movements during the year. Now, I'm not quite clear. I wasn't quite clear on how that particular account was managed, so I don't want to go into it. But I'm giving you some of the reasons why the Integrity Commission says it's not just as simple as it appears.
But in those instant cases when you can suggest that, well, this is not my personal account, it's my parents' account. I've never seen what is in the account, even though my name is on it. For them to then make the leap to suggest that you are somehow in error of essentially failing to file proper statutory declarations in a situation such as that.
Well, if that is what happened, and I don't think we got sufficient information to say that is what happened. If that is what happened, then it will be deemed just an omission, which you could correct by a further statutory declaration.
Yeah. Senator Scott-Mottley, I could not have you on and not put this question to you. There are some serious allegations made against your party relating to $15 million in resources being offered to a caretaker, Senate appointment, and a board appointment being offered for him to step aside. Are you concerned that your party, given the seriousness of this allegation, is yet to address the matter in a fulsome way?
Well, let me say first, it's a matter of who you choose to believe. There are people in the media who have chosen to believe what the former candidate has said. The leader, Mark Golding, has said no such offer was made. Certainly, I find it very challenging to believe that a candidate would have been offered $15 million to step aside. I've never heard of the PNP offering people money in that context, and in fact, they offer very little even for campaigning because a candidate is expected to raise their own funds. So that shocked me. I do not believe it. I do not believe it is true. And the fact that Lawrence has gone to the media in this kind of way that he has makes me very suspicious of his motives.
But it's also suspicious, though. But isn't it also suspicious, though, Senator Scott-Mottley, that your party issued, I would say, a paragraph, in essence indicating that the matter will be addressed at a time convenient to the party? Isn't this something that is so great that it should be addressed by the party immediately, putting forward the information to counter what a former candidate, or I should say a caretaker of your party, alleged against your leader and other senior officials of your party? Shouldn't this be addressed immediately by your party?
I think the leader has said it's not true. He did not offer any money to Lawrence Rowe.
I beg to correct you there, Senator. I don't believe Mr. Golding has come out right and said it's not true. He's made comments to say that something was said that is not true, but he has never specifically named Lawrence in those comments, and he has not named the allegation in those comments.
Well, certainly in the meetings, not meetings, because in the conversations we have had subsequent, he has made it very clear.
So internally?
Internally? Yes. Was it internally that those comments were made?
Pardon me?
The comments that you're making mention of?
Yes.
Was that discussed internally?
I was of the view, and I heard a clip at a meeting that was held last night where he said that there was no such offer made. So, and I was of the view that he had made it very clear from the outset that there was no such offer made.
But the release, though, Senator Scott-Mottley indicated, this is the release 3 days ago, the matter will be addressed at a time convenient to the party. isn't that concerning that the party, in essence, they did not see the importance of addressing the matter immediately. And so they are telling the nation, a political party that is seeking to form government, is telling the nation that they will address this matter, which is considered serious, at a time convenient to the party?
Do forgive me, but I'm not as askance as you are about it. We have certain processes in the party which we adhere to. It will come to the officers group, and at that time we will determine how it must be addressed. But I think the most important aspect of it for me is, did you offer any money to Lawrence Rowe? And that has been categorically denied.
Internally?
Yes, Senator. As Sanjay says, we in the media and the wider public has not been told that categorically. You're now informing us that that has been discussed internally in the party. But why not simply come out and say it?
And this evening, I heard the party leader making a speech in which he made it clear that it was not true.
Where was that speech made?
In Central Kingston last night.
And as I said, I listened to that presentation by Mr. Golding, and that's not what was said, Senator.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I heard on the clip. But let us go back to the principle. It needs to be cleared up. It needs to be cleared up quickly. The public is concerned about it. It is being referred to as a bribe or hush money. No. I think that a bribe and hush money terms are very strong. But I agree with you that if those terms are being bandied around about, then the matter should be dealt with alacrity. And I'm sure that very shortly the public's view, the public's angst on it will be addressed by the party.
So you disagree then with that line in the release put forward by your party? That the matter
I don't
will
say
be
that I disagree
addressed.
Because you see, our party operates.
But you just indicated that it's something that should be addressed expeditiously, and your party indicated that the matter will be addressed at a time
Sanjay,
convenient to the party.
Sanjay,
Yes,
Sanjay, please, respectfully, I respect what you are saying, but I'm not going to allow you to put any words in my mouth.
I'm not at all.
I am telling you.
No. Let me respond to that. 1 second. Let me respond to that.
Let me finish what I'm saying. I am not disagreeing with the statement which was made by the party. I am saying that listening to what you're saying and the public's view, we must deal with that matter with alacrity. That does not mean that I'm disagreeing with the statement which was issued. That means that I've listened to what you have said, I've heard the concerns expressed, and I am responding to them. I am in no disagreement with my party on this issue. And when I am in disagreement with my party, I do not hesitate to express it.
Well, Sanjay, Senator Scott-Mottley, I'm getting a very angry look. We are well past the time that this interview should have been terminated.
I'm so sorry to have
No, it's fine. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
That is Senator Donna Scott-Mottley, opposition spokesperson on justice. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator. As always, it is a pleasure. Well,
Chevon.
Go ahead, Sanjay.
Yes. That interview with Senator Scott-Mottley, she made reference to the comments made by Mark Golding at that presentation of the caretaker in Central Kingston last night. And she, in a sense, indicated that Mark Golding responded, categorically denying that no money or no resources were offered to anyone for them to step aside. And I thought it was necessary that we play back that clip. So I just want to go to that, where the opposition leader, Mark Golding, in a sense, has defended the PNP's decision to replace Lawrence Rowe with former Senior Superintendent of Police Steve McGregor as the party's caretaker in Central Kingston. And Golding, who presented McGregor to comrades in Central Kingston on Wednesday evening, telling them he believes in Steve.
A whole heap of little things have been said in the last few days. Boy, I don't know how much lie can tell on radio, on TV, and wherever, social media. The party took a decision in accordance with the rules of the party in the best interest of the people of Central Kingston, because we have to win the seat and we want to unite around a quality candidate who can deliver the victory. And we found Steve McGregor, and he's willing to serve, and he came on board. And you know, I think it will be a new day for Central Kingston. Because all the little shenanigans and things were going on before, that cut out now. A real man is here to serve the people and deliver for the people.
So Sanjay, I'd like you to point to me where the categorical denial was of the specific allegations made by Lawrence Rowe. Or where Mr. Rowe was even mentioned in that supposed categorical denial.
Exactly, because I wondered, Chevon, when Senator Scott-Mottley indicated that the party leader categorically denied that about that 15 million in resources, that he said it on the platform. I wondered if I missed something, which is why I asked back for that clip. And nothing in that clip indicated that the party leader strongly or categorically denying anything. He said what? Some shenanigans happening, and he hears some things on social media and in media. But the party leader said nothing. And it is very strange to me. Well, not strange, but it's very unfortunate that a political party that is seeking to become government decided not to address a matter that I considered extremely serious. Yeah? This is a serious allegation, and all the political party could say in a release, a paragraph, in essence stating that this matter, its allegations they indicated, and this matter will be addressed at a time convenient to the party. That's very unfortunate.
And the question then belies, when is that time convenient for the party? After the election?
Precisely.
Sometime in the next 10 years? That's a very open comment. And it seems to suggest that they hope that the matter will simply go away and that it does not need to be addressed.